Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. Almost had the blooper of a lifetime. I'm sitting here doing a live stream about last night's Monday Night Raw and the upcoming Saturday night's main event that is going to be coming to you November 1st from Salt Lake City. Jay Uso versus CM Punk looks to be main eventing the show. And I almost put up a live stream with the thumbnail of LA Knight versus CM Punk for the WWE Championship. Didn't really proofread what I was doing. Honestly, just saw the Saturday night's main event logo, the WWE Championship, and CM Punk, and was like, "Yep, good enough." And as I was tweeting at the link, I sort of caught LA Knight there and was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" But last night, WWE knocked one out of the park. I honestly think it was a really, really good edition of Monday Night Raw. Triple H and the writing staff in the last week have really had to pivot a lot of the direction that the main angles of the company are going with Seth Rollins' injury at Crown Jewel against Cody Rhodes. Of course, they ended up taking him out with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed with Paul Heyman turning against him. I think they sewed up a lot of the loose ends on Monday night with Becky Lynch going up to Paul Heyman. What she said really didn't make sense, but it does sort of close the storyline if we're not going to see Rollins for a while. Why Becky still isn't running with the Vision. If you really think about it, though, Rollins and Becky kind of distanced themselves from Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed during their CM Punk and AJ storyline. They weren't out of the group. He still was WWE champion, but they didn't have Paul Heyman hanging around really as much during that time period. And then he came right back into the scene for the Cody versus Rollins match at Crown Jewel. You can remember him being the Oracle, the guy that can kind of tell what is the future. And the lead up to Crown Jewel really was Rollins couldn't get out of his own way. He wanted to beat Cody so bad that he was willing to almost do anything, and he would put himself into situations that were not good. You can remember the SmackDown where he wanted to run back into the ring to fight Cody, and Paul was like, "No, now's not the time. We have to plan our attack, and right now is not the time. Don't do it." He ended up running right back into the ring to try and do the curb stomp to Cody, who missed it, and then threw the crossroads on him, and boom, Rollins was done. And Heyman's just sitting there like, "Dude, I told you not to do this." And you ran out there and you did it anyways. Um, so the whole deal moving from there, I thought that Braun Breaker looked awesome with the World Heavyweight Championship. Braun Breaker is somebody that I picked up very shortly into his run in NXT. I think I honestly figured out who Braun Breaker was because of wrestling cards. If that's weird enough, but I saw him on a few wrestling cards and was like, "Dude, this is a Steiner, Rick Steiner's son." I think this is somebody to get behind, and it's not like I was buying his cards blind. I was going to NXT and actually watching his title run. I thought that he was a good face of the company. At that time, they were doing the NXT 2.0, which I don't really know when it got dropped, but his babyface run wasn't great, but I liked his style of matches. And once he actually lost the NXT title and he stayed in NXT, even when he was doing the Baron Corbin storyline, I really liked the aggression that we saw. That like Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker wanted to beat each other up, but because of the fact that they were forced into this tag team together, they had to basically beat somebody else to have the chance to beat each other up. But when they came rolling down to the ring with the World Heavyweight Championship, and Adam Pearce made it give it up. I was like, I like the look of that championship on Braun Breaker. Now, Braun has to find a way that the way that they took them out of the number one contenders battle royal was really smart. Basically, Braun Breaker told Adam Pearce that he had to tell him please, and then yanked him out of the rumble. I think mostly just for flat out disrespecting the WWE, taking out their champion, leaving Monday Night Raw without a champion, not going to reward them for that situation. And then honestly, just the disrespect that they showed Adam Pearce in the middle of the ring on Monday Night Raw, opening up a very big show. He just said, this is not what we do. So we already know who the number one contender is going to be. For Saturday night's main event, we are going to crown a new champion. War Games, I really thought was going to be based around the Vision. Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker. We thought that, Brock Lesnar would join this group, even if it was only for one night because of Paul Heyman, much like the connection at WrestlePalooza that Paul wanted to be with Brock during the John Cena match. And maybe that would be a tie-in to bring John Cena into the match. Now I think just everything's up in the air, and I'm wondering if they have regrets about calling this show War Games and wondering if they should save it for another time in another place. At this point, it would almost seem like you're just pairing up baby faces and heels together that don't have a perfect storyline connecting themselves. You have a group of two guys that pretty much think they're better than anybody on the roster. And I don't know why they would want to team with other people other than the fact that they just need to fill out a 4-man or a 5-man team in order to have this match. Wei Ting threw out an idea of somehow the next number one contender, which I think would be the Saturday night's main event that would happen in December. The Washington, D.C. show that John Cena is having his last match. Maybe if it would be like the winner of War Games, like whoever scored the final submission / pin, maybe they would be the new number one contender. I don't want it to be like War Games 98. I think that was the last War Games that they had on Fall Brawl. That one was the one that it would end up being like Team WCW, Team Wolfpack, Team NWO. I don't remember if Warrior had his own team or if he was on the WCW team. But anyways, DDP ended up winning the WCW championship at War Games. That match isn't horrible. It's just not good. And it's not even. What's up, Sunset? Or Suzette? Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, I don't know why I said Sunset there. But what's up? But I don't know. I don't really know what they could do. That I would just guess if Braun won that, it would put him in the right place in order to be a future number one contender. I think that he would be a force come the Royal Rumble, that he would be like one of the top 5 guys that you thought had a chance to win to go to WrestleMania. I don't think of him as somebody that you would think he's going to win the Rumble and he's going to challenge Cody Rhodes. But I could see him challenging almost anybody on the Monday Night Raw brand in a World Heavyweight Championship match. I think it's just such a slam dunk that CM Punk is going to win the Royal Rumble this year. I think he's going to go to Saudi Arabia. He's going to win the Royal Rumble, and it's going to be Cody versus CM Punk, Night 2, main event, WWE Championship. That's the only match that I see happening. For 2 years in a row, we've been teased that Punk is going to win the Rumble and go to WrestleMania and fight for the championship. We've seen Punk and Cody Rhodes in the Go Home segment of the Go Home Monday Night Raw 2 years in a row. And hasn't been able to happen. But I think when they did the show over in Saudi Arabia, and we all had questions if CM Punk was going to go, and they announced Punk versus Cena. I think the storyline that they came up with of Cena saying, if you want to fight me, if you want to fight for this championship, you're going to have to come to Saudi Arabia, putting the ball in his court, that he could turn it down if he wanted to. People know the remarks that he made in AEW on Twitter, and was not kind to going to Saudi Arabia. And I think the ball's in his court that he didn't have to go. If you remember the beginning of this relationship, they had even announced Daniel Bryan challenging, I believe, AJ Styles at a Crown Jewel show, and they ended up changing the match. So Bryan didn't have to travel to Saudi Arabia. I believe that also Sami Zayn was vacant from the first few Crown Jewel shows. Now he's very prominent each and every year that he is there. I think he honestly loves it, and it's like a highlight of his year each and every year for him to be there. Now, the nuts and bolts of the whole thing. CM Punk versus Jey Uso. Now, I don't want this to come off in a very weird way. I don't want CM Punk to win this match. I understand that we're changing course, and sometimes when you're changing course, you can't have your long-term storyline make sense anymore. And WWE needs to have a World Heavyweight Champion on the Monday Night Raw brand. But I think that if Punk wins this World Heavyweight Championship and he has any number of days reign as champion, I think it would ruin the moment that he's going to have. I remember how emotional he was on WWE Unreal, main eventing night 1 of WrestleMania. I think him main eventing the actual main event of WrestleMania. We can remember WrestleMania 29, him really wanting him and Taker to be the main event match. And then also almost WrestleMania 30, the reason why he walked out was a bunch of reasons. But I think one of the main ones was that he realized WWE was not going to see him as a main event player. He was rumored to be having a match with Triple H, also rumored to have a match against Kane. And I think he just saw the writing on the wall. If he has that match against Kane, he's going to be like in a second match, third match situation. And if you look at past WrestleManias, he's moving backwards, almost like he doesn't really fit in with the current crop of WWE. And at that time, you had newcomers like the Shield on their, it wasn't their first, that was their second, because they were on WrestleMania 29 in that tag match. I think it was Sheamus, Ryback, and Daniel Bryan, if I remember right. But I'm pretty sure that was the team that took on the Shield, WrestleMania 29. But that was their second WrestleMania. You think about it, WrestleMania 31 a year later, Seth Rollins used the Money in the Bank. He had a big match against Randy Orton, but he ended up winning the main event, even though he wasn't really in it. Roman Reigns took his place. He was a Royal Rumble winner, went to WrestleMania, and then he ended up not winning, but he main evented the WrestleMania the next year. And who knows where Punk would have fit on that card if he would have been there. Um, but Jey Uso winning this match, I don't think is any knock on the championship. I don't think it's any knock on Monday Night Raw. I don't think it's a step down that Punk is not the champion. There's a lot of different ways that you could go. If you go to the WWE Vault, no, it wasn't the WWE Vault. It was the actual WWE YouTube account. In the last 2 days, they have uploaded Hell in the Cell. I believe it was 2020. I wasn't watching WWE at the time, and honestly, when I caught wind, this was the main event of the WWE Hell in the Cell show, let alone this was the Hell in the Cell match for that year, Roman Reigns against Jey Uso. I thought the world really was ending. That was, in the heart of the first year of COVID. Um, Roman Reigns had left WWE at WrestleMania 36, but he had decided to make his return at SummerSlam. He won the championship at the next pay-per-view, which was basically like the next weekend, if I remember right. It was like that you did SummerSlam, and then it was like Backlash of SummerSlam was like right there, and Roman won the three-way with the Fiend and Braun Strowman. I think that was the match. Like I said, I really wasn't watching a ton at the time. And I think that was the very start of the Bloodline storyline, was the fact that, he was trying to beat respect into Jey Uso, and he wanted him to follow him. I think Jimmy might have been injured at the time or something like that. I don't really remember all of the nuts and bolts, and I can tell you the truth. I need to watch that match because I've never seen that match. But we've seen Roman a lot. I think a lot of us thought that he was exiting stage right after SummerSlam this year. It was Roman and Jay against Braun and Bronson. And people thought he was going to go do Street Fighter, the movie. And in Roman Reigns fashion, he would be gone for a while. And then he basically would come back. But Roman's been there almost, I'd say pretty much almost every week for a bit. This week, him not being there was honestly a little bit weird. I'm sure he's doing his scenes in the movie. Street Fighter 2 was a very cool video game. I didn't play it a ton because I wasn't good at it. I never saw the Street Fighter movie back in the day, but I think because of the fact Cody's in this, Roman's in this, I really want to see this movie when it comes due. But I keep wondering if Jay wins the championship, him and Jimmy are already kind of like at push and shove when it comes down to it. They are brother, in the back. But then as soon as like business comes up or they're in the actual ring together, they had that really good match where they teamed up, first Usos match in a while. But like they're just not clicking. I think both of them want to show the other one how good they are. Jay kind of has like a big head, fueled by the fact that he was world heavyweight champion. He won the Royal Rumble. He beat Gunther at WrestleMania. He held the belt for like 2 months. I want to say he lost it on Raw the night after Money in the Bank. And of course, because Goldberg would go on. No, I messed that up. Gunther would go on to have the Saturday night's main event match against Goldberg. And I think that's what kind of like buried Jay, to the point they started going in a different direction with Gunther. And he never got his World Heavyweight Championship rematch. So this is going to close the door on his situation of bickering and complaining about getting there. But if Jay and Jimmy are not on the same page, What's Roman gonna be like if he comes back and Jay is champion? Is he gonna, be first in line asking for a championship shot because he thinks he's a better wrestler? Is he going to respect the family lines and basically fall in line of protecting Jay as champion because Jay has been in his corner for fights? Or is it just going to be, hey, we got respect, but this is about money? And then if you go back to when Jay's mind started really getting messed up, it was like a heart to heart with Roman, where Roman was telling Jay, like, you don't need to be getting involved in all these matches. That's what's messed you up in the past, where you were caring about Cody and, everybody attacking everybody. And when it comes down to it, it's about you. It's about money. It's about making your place. It's about leaving a legacy. It's about moments. It's about championships. And like when this is all said and done and you look back on your career, if you're proud of it. So, that's kind of what I'm looking at here. War Games just sets up these guys teaming together. But you would think Roman is such a legendary bad guy that he would be the one doing the turning. I wouldn't be surprised if when these guys team up, Jay is so consumed by being the champion and think everybody's out against him. I wouldn't be surprised if Jay is the one who turns on Roman, even turns on Jimmy. And then maybe like we have to see the opposite of WrestleMania 40 with Roman teaming up with Jimmy, doing the whole no yeet thing. And Jay is kind of like your confused guy, and it's like they're almost trying to beat him back to being himself. But you would think now, after being WWE champion twice, is his head even going to be even more consumed with just trying to get the win here? So I don't want to even think I'm hitting the bottle here. I picked up these butterscotch butterbeer kind of things. It reminded me of Universal Studios. We went there a couple of years ago. I found them over at Costco. But finishing up, for what I think this card is going to be, I think we're going to be seeing Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre from SmackDown for the WWE Championship. Wouldn't be surprised if that's a big main event on this show as well. Of course, we had another change after whatever happened to shoot, what the hell was I going to say? I know that last week we were supposed to get a Jacob Fatu match against Drew McIntyre as the number one contenders. The week before, Jacob Fatu had sort of called out Cody Rhodes, saying that he was coming for that WWE Championship. Looked like what was going to be the foreseeable future was Jacob versus Cody. Another good guy versus good guy match. So many people thought they were crazy at WrestleMania, putting Cody versus Cena, two of the biggest names in the company, up against each other, even though they both had fandoms that were so big at the time. And now we're getting Punk versus Jey Uso. We almost got Jacob Fatu versus Cody Rhodes, and it's just like all these scenarios of you can't tell who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. It's kind of like they're throwing everything out the window. So often in WWF, after they did Jake the Snake versus Hulk Hogan, after they did Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan, just good guy versus good guy matches were out the window. That's the reason why we never got Cena versus Undertaker for all those years, because Vince didn't want to put the fans through something like that, even though everybody in the world was going for it. So I think that's one match that we could be getting is Cody versus Drew. I really thought they were going to give us a real match, but instead Cody came out pretty much in the suit and he was like ready to go with Drew, just basically saying like, I've had enough of this. When is Drew going to say that he wants a real match? Kind of crazy. So, when you look at Saturday night's main event, this is a very big one for WWE. Who out there is still carrying their Peacock account since WWE went to ESPN at WrestlePalooza? I sort of told myself that I was going to carry my Peacock account throughout the year, but we are getting this Saturday night's main event exclusive to Peacock. People, you got to know this. Don't think you're going to flip on NBC. I don't think the Saturday night's main events were doing horrible on the actual NBC. Actually, I think they were coming up with pretty good ratings because you weren't hearing anything about how bad they were. They probably weren't breaking any records, but this one is going to be exclusive to Peacock. It is the one reason why WWE subscribers would keep their Peacock account. Some people are going to have to come up with, am I going to subscribe to Peacock for one night? I think at this point, if you sign up for Peacock, you might as well keep it until the next month, because in December, you're going to be having the John Cena retirement match. And I know it's $15 a month, but I mean, like, you can watch The Office. There's a few other shows on there on Peacock that I've watched. They've got an all right source of movies on there. If you go out of your way to watch the apps, I think you're going to get your money's worth. But from here on out, after December, there's only going to be quarterly Saturday night's main event shows. And I basically think for me, I'm going to be using Peacock as like a pay-per-view platform. When the Saturday night's main events are on, I'm going to subscribe to Peacock. And then basically as soon as the show is done, I'm going to unsubscribe. I might watch things for the rest of the month, but I'm going to be a month-to-month subscriber for Peacock. I just don't honestly use it that much, but the WWE shows will be worth it for me to watch. These Saturday night's main events, honestly, call me crazy, even if they are $15 to watch them, they've been good. They've given us moments, they've given us matches. The very first one with Rhodes versus Kevin Owens, that one was really good. Goldberg versus Gunther, even though we didn't get the retirement speech, was great. Of course, you got the LA Knight beating Seth Rollins moment that set up the whole Rouge at SummerSlam, with Rollins coming out acting like he was injured and then cashing in his money in the bank. When CM Punk had his guards drawn down. It was basically a plan not to have a match at SummerSlam. That's pretty much all the Rouge was. All he had to do was not get himself involved in an angle and complain that he wasn't on the show, and he wouldn't have had a match. But it is what it is. People will remember it for a long time. But let me know what you guys are thinking. Like, are you guys just going to keep your Peacock subscription and just roll with, the 4 Saturday night's main events after the start of the year? Or, are you just going to kind of go month to month, like I was saying that I'm going to do with those? You're not saving tons of money, but at the end of the day, Peacock is probably on average $12 to $15 a month at this point, as they, try to find ways. I tried to watch that Office reboot with the paper, and I didn't think it was that funny. A lot of stuff's just not funny anymore because they're just scared to take chances. That's the hospital show with the mom from the Goldbergs. That should be a better show. That show's not funny. And I even saw they're moving the paper, if you haven't watched it already on Peacock, to it's just going to be a Friday night show. Something got canceled and they're just like, hey, we've already got this show. Let's put it on TV. See if people watch it from here on out. So when we're looking at the women's division, Becky Lynch has been doing a lot. Part of me was wondering if Becky was going to be around with Seth Rollins being home and being injured. Would she want to be at home and basically help taking care of the kids while Rollins, finds a way to get himself back into ring shape and get back on the road as he rehabs from his injury and things like that? Is she going to want to be there? She had the match with Maxine. Maxine wasn't somebody that she was going to lose to and disappear. So we'll have to see where they're going with that. I thought that Bailey and Bird Girl, what the heck's her name? What's Bailey's tag team partner's name? I haven't really figured her out yet. She's a pretty good wrestler, but I think the fact that I just hadn't seen anything of her till like WrestleMania season. Lyra Valkyrie, that's her name. I thought that they were going to be getting themselves into the tag team championship picture with Bailey saying that she had a surprise for her. But at the same time, on the same show, the Kabuki Warriors, there was no mystery. There was no, I got a surprise for you. They just put themselves into the tag team title picture, saying that they were going after Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. So we'll have to see what's going on with that. We've got Tiffany Stratton, who we haven't seen since Crown Jewel. Calm down. I don't know what the Alexa's doing back there, but Stephanie Vakir, did she get hurt? I haven't seen an update on her since her kind of slip and fall off of the ropes last night, but she definitely seemed like she was shaken up when she was in the ring. Didn't seem like she could put a lot of pressure on that leg as she was trying to move around, and she still had to get out of the ring and get to the back to do her promo with Nikki Bella. I don't know when it's coming. Stephanie Vakir, listen to me, please. Do not trust Nikki Bella, especially after that promo that they had in the back about being friends and I'll be there for you. You've got you've got my back and I've got yours. Nikki Bella telling Stephanie, I wish that when I was a young champion, I would have had somebody, guiding me, from the people in the back and making bad decisions and being a better champion. Dude, I don't know when it's going to be, but as soon as you have your back turned on Nikki Bella is taking out Stephanie Vakir. Where they go from there, I'm not 100% sure because I don't think the long-term storyline for Stephanie Vakir is Nikki Bella beating her. I think that they could have one heck of a match, but then Nikki Bella as a heel isn't really going to be getting the sporadic Monday Night Raw legend returns. So is there a way for her to turn on her and then basically turn back? If you remember, like when they did the first Evolution, it was Nikki Bella versus Ronda Rousey in the main event, and Nikki Bella kind of turned heel for that, but then she like disappeared for so long that when she came back, she just automatically was a baby face. So I'm not really sure what the long terms is on that, but I'm guessing they might get it a tag match, against maybe they'll fight against Kabuki Warriors on Monday or something like that. But I think that one match they might be okay. But definitely they get in a big match scenario going after a championship, like the tag titles. If they're in war games as a team, they ain't walking out friends from that that match. I really don't think so. Saturday night's main event, this upcoming one, John is working all of the PLEs, but he's not guaranteed to work this Saturday night's main event. He's not booked for it. So this dream match of Dom versus Cena isn't going to be happening here, but he does have Monday Night Raw appearances coming up sooner than later. He is going to be working the Madison Square Garden show. He is going to be working the Boston Garden. I think they call it like something Garden, a TK Garden or something like that up there in Boston. And hopefully it'll be a bigger show than that Springfield show was, where he came back for that. But I don't know. We don't have a ton of the stuff, but one roadblock that might not even get in its way. But if you look at your calendar and you look at a baseball calendar, Saturday night's main event would go up against the MLB World Series Game 7. So that could be kind of a death sentence for this show if that was to happen. I think most people think that this thing's going to be over sooner than later. The Dodgers are just honestly such a good team. It is such a good story for the Blue Jays, a team that never wanted to give up. They were down 2-0 to the Mariners. It'd be awesome for them to get it. The last time the Blue Jays won a World Series, I can't remember. I think they beat the Phillies in 93, and I think they beat the Braves in 94. So maybe they beat the Braves in the last one they were in. So it's hard to root for a team, but that was so long ago. I don't really think about the Blue Jays as being like that big of a rival. When we were in Toronto for Robbie's wedding, me and Miguel went to the Sky Dome. We went to the Rogers Center, and that's kind of when the emotions came back for the Braves World Series runs, and it's like, oh, hey, wait a minute, this didn't go well for us here. I wish the not the Sky Dome. I wish the Metro Dome was still around, and I could go there and I could curse out Kirby Puckett and Tim McCarver for that Game 6 World Series winning home run. We'll see you tomorrow night. I think that is honestly when I started cussing as a young kid. I think they hit that off of Charlie Lee Brandt, if I remember right. Charlie Lee Brandt, that's a name. That's the name right there for Braves fans back in the day. But we're finishing this up. Saturday night's main event, 11-1. Hold on. Who is the United States champion on SmackDown? I'm trying to think what other match. There's probably going to be 2 more matches on the show. You think there would be a women's match? There would be some sort of a mid-card match, maybe for like the Intercontinental, maybe the United States belt, something like that. I think that honestly we're guaranteed Drew versus Cody, and we already have Punk versus Jey Uso. I think it's going to be a really good show. I think it's going to be a big show, and we're inching closer and closer and closer to the return of the Mega Powers. Freaking Yaya 88 and me going to Survivor Series War Games in San Diego. So we'll see what's going on. Tomorrow I'll probably put up a football video with my football picks and see what's going on. I got an AEW box out there in the living room that came in today. I'm going to let my dog out, and I don't know. We'll see you guys down the road. Peace out, everybody. Thank you very much for showing up. Appreciate you, even if you catch the rerun, which uploads Wednesday mornings. Peace out.